See you on the other side. I've always wanted to say that.
Of Drips in the Office with me, John and Warren, and of course the man himself, Pat, the Drip Lord Ford. How are you doing tonight, Pat?
John, I've never been better. I'm very excited to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm excited. I know the people are clamoring for this. So, if you're wondering what Drips in the Office will be about, it'll be some Cube Monkey stuff, being a drip in the corporate world, some dad life, and of course, we'll talk some KMS talk. And as of 8:41 p.m. today is March 5th. Coleman is still going on the stream as we speak. So I'm sure we'll get into all of that. And at some point, Pat, we'll probably have to get into all your pictures getting blown up. I'm sure there's a story or two. I have questions. But before any of that, let me just say, I don't care how fluorescent your office lights are, how gray your cubicle is, how manila your folders are. I don't care if you've been watching Jack Coleman barely say random names for the past 48 hours. This will be the most boring part of your day. Pat, I thought it would be cool if you could start off by giving us a quick synopsis of how did we end up here? How are me and you on the stream right now together for Drips in the Office? What happened? Why are we here?
It's a great question, John. It was 1992. My mom and my dad were having a few drinks. Just kidding. Won't go all the way back to that. It's a little vulgar as well. How we got here is an interesting journey. I am, not many people know this about me. I'm certifiably, in my personal opinion, certifiably insane. So during the producer search, I crafted a little Excel sheet of how many times the producers in the running were tweeting about themselves and how many times they were tweeting about the show, tweeted it out, got in front of Kirk, went into studio shortly after that. I was super boring that day. And apparently that's what you need to do in this world to make it. So that was a huge hit. And I've been pretty boring ever since. I just continue that trend. It's a very boring life, but it seems as though people somewhat enjoy it. Now, please, if you could elaborate on how you got here.
Sure. I think you're selling yourself short a little bit. You definitely, after your first appearance, I think you started to gather like a little cult following. I remember you were very drippy. I do remember that about you, but to me, you were always kind of the guy who had common sense, or you're like the voice of reason. And
Thank
with
you.
all these psychopaths that are on the show, maybe that stood out. As far as myself, I don't know. I'm a loser. I was sitting there thinking, you know what? I think I can make a video that might be funny related to this inside joke or something like that. But made a couple videos. Somehow someone saw it. They invited me on. I was called possibly the worst third chair possible. And of course, Kirk's going to dig into that. And he's going to say, well, I'm going to throw you on again and piss everybody else off. So we got compared to one another, just being boring. And I guess here we are. And speaking of being boring, I want to start getting right into it. I think last week when we met, you told me that you were at a conference in Boston, and this conference was about parking and climate change. Pat, I don't know if anything else could get as boring as parking and climate change at a conference at a hotel in Boston. Anything you can say about that?
Well, you see, it was a parking conference, and climate change was just about. Unfortunately, it's about a 4-hour segment during the conference. I did learn some interesting things. I think I'm brainwashed now a little bit, but yeah, it was a meeting of the minds, as they say. That's copyright infringement. That's copyright infringement. I apologize for that. But yeah, it was 3 days of talking shop, talking revenue per space, talking claims per 10,000 work hours, talking kind of what kind of deal deserves a certain category of management lease. Maybe we go with a rev share. Maybe it's a man hour deal. It was three of the most exhilarating days for me. We opened up a lot of new avenues, met a lot of new no, met a lot of new people. Yeah, it was a really great time.
Now, when you're at a conference like that, are you sitting like someone's talking, maybe they're on stage or maybe you're breaking out into these little
Oh,
breakout rooms. Are you sitting there thinking like I used to be the guy with long hair. Like I used to be the guy that held gators and fucked chicks.
hell
Like
yeah.
what's going on? How did I end up? Is that what's going through your mind?
I appreciate you saying that last part too. That gets overlooked sometimes with my physical appearance now. Yeah, there is a part of me that kind of looks back at it, looks around the room, and be like, I used to make fun of these nerds, and now I am one. But it was tough to see because instead of sitting in chairs, they had like couches and love seats for us. But there was so much that happened. At one point, they brought out a 2-year-old boy who beat cancer, and they put a video on the screen, and it was just an absolute waterwork display. I was bawling my eyes out like a baby. They got him a suitcase. Inside the suitcase, tickets to Disneyland.
Oh, I
So,
thought you were gonna say inside the suitcase was Clemmer.
oh, he's currently in a room. He's currently locked in a room somewhere. So,
Oh man, so they're pulling out the heartstrings. That's tough. That is tough.
I'm called for.
Now I think when we were on the show on Friday, I think someone said, or you had mentioned that this is a somewhat of a new job. Were you in parking prior to this as well? Is this just a different company or a completely new like venture for you altogether?
Same company. They saw my potential, so they said, here's a promotion. We think you can do this. I used to be in the business of parking the cars. Now I'm in the business of going out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, and getting new opportunities for my company. That's the name of the game right now. Yeah, but I used to be valet, self park, you name it, airports. The list could go on. At my inaugural location in the heart of Providence, parked 33,000 cars in my career,
Wow.
retrieval and departure. Yep. Yep. Just
Wow,
something to
good for
note.
you. Do you have employees?
I don't anymore.
Okay.
Now I'm a one man island. Business development, shaking it for myself. But I used to have like 80. I think it was 85 was the peak.
Oh wow, Jesus. Yeah, I think my similar to Mick, going to that
Wow.
what's it called? The performance reviews are my absolute least favorite thing to do for employees. I have about 20 employees right now. It seems like every single month I sign into my computer and it's like, oh, you have to do so and so's review. You have to do so and so's review. And it's just, it's so painstaking. I have to answer all these questions. I have to sit there and talk to them and tell them how well they've been doing or how terrible they've been doing.
Could be
Uh,
uncomfortable.
no, it's very uncomfortable. And I don't mind saying like like, oh, you need to work on this, you need to work on that. It's just honestly, it's just sitting down and filling out the form, which is probably my
It's
least
the
favorite part about
worst.
it. It's
And
terrible.
they've transitioned everything from paper to Microsoft Forms too, where it's everything has to be entered through the computer, and that's just an extra step sometimes. So I agree with you. But what do you do for work? You've mentioned shipping, you've mentioned handling, and that's where I kind of forget mostly. So
Yeah,
elaborate just a bit.
it,
Don't give too
it
many details. People are nuts.
it's importing and exporting. No, so I'm out there selling medical supplies. I'm selling anything from glucose monitors to CPAP machines to ventilators. I'm out there selling breast pumps, dude. I'm pushing those things.
My wife's
Um,
pregnant. We could throw you a bone.
Yep, please do, please do.
Yeah, I'll give you a
Um,
couple.
yeah, and it's it's good, but the worst part is we deal with insurance, so the actual like end customer is going to be purchasing this equipment most of the time through their insurance. So, like today, for example, in order to actually complete the sale and ship the order, you need to verify that they have the insurance that they said they had. If not, you'll ship it out. They'll end up getting the bill. And 9 times out of 10, since they thought insurance was going to pay for it, they won't pay for it. And it's kind of expensive. So there was a glitch in the system where typically the system will electronically verify each patient who's placed an order. It'll electronically verify their insurance. It's not working right now. There's some sort of data breach or something like that. So today, I actually had to work. Normally, I pretend to work and I just watch the employees do everything. I
Oh
had to
yeah.
sit there and press. I mean, you know what? It might have been actually pretty good for the whole Coleman thing today. Like I had a perfect day where I could just sit there and watch Coleman do nothing all day. But still, I'm pulling up an order, looking up the patient, manually looking up their insurance, pressing
Oof.
verify, moving on to the next one. It was very, very, very like uh, order entry stuff. It was absolutely terrible. One other
Yeah.
thing I'll say is
Oh,
we have do you guys have to do these yearly courses like the like sexual harassment, fire safety, stuff like that?
I just took it. That's funny you said that. We just took our sexual harassment training. I got a 94
There you go.
and
I'd
94.
love to see what those 6 points are missing, but probably has
I'm
something to do with that
curious as
mustache.
well. It could, yeah, it could be. They could be looking at running the Corey report of my old history. But yeah, we have to do those like once a year. It's mostly sexual harassment. But people in the parking world, they're dogs, man. They really keep track on us. Not me. I'm retired, as you can see now, compared to my old photos. But you have to do those a lot, I assume.
Yeah, and I'm always the last person in the entire company to get them done. I actually think we were supposed to
Hell
have them done by February 28th. I still haven't done mine yet. And of course, at the same time, I'm like barking at every one of my employees, like, you got to get this done. You got to get this done. And meanwhile,
yeah.
I'm fucking not doing
Lead
them
from
at
the
all.
front.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So,
have a question.
oh, go ahead. Go.
About your line of work, I've always kind of wanted this. You work primarily with the insurance companies. They're going to pay for your devices.
Yep.
Since does like Liberty Mutual, or I'm just using any insurance company, do you give them a discount for them bringing you so many? Do they pay what the rack rate is? Like, say one of your machines is $1,000, but Liberty gives you a whole shit ton of business. Are they getting a cut? Are they getting a break? Can you even say that? Is that insider top secret information? Please tell me if it is.
There's something called contracted allowables. So each insurance gives you like a cap that you work out a contract with each insurance. So there might be a full price for a product, but then you work out a contract with each insurance where they basically you come to an agreement saying like, okay, the most we'll possibly charge for X product is blank, and that's kind of like where the deal might be. Now some patients get fucked if they have like a really high deductible or something like that.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
didn't think of that.
yeah, and that's kind of the worst. Like explaining what a deductible is to like a 57-year-old man is always terrible
It's
because
never a walk in
everyone
the park.
yeah, they just assume everything should be covered. But let me tell you this. I don't and you tell me if it's the same thing for you, it probably is. I don't care that I'm just like working in office or even if I'm home in my home office. I don't care that I'm not turning wrenches all day. When I get home, I'm so fucking tired. Like I feel like I'm one of Sheldon from North Dakota's farmhands. Like I am just exhausted. It makes no sense.
I was telling somebody it the other day. Sheldon has it difficult with kind of the work that he does, but I think that guys like you and me have it just one step harder. I
A
agree
little
with you.
bit.
I come home every day exhausted. There's a 2 year old upstairs who just went to bed. He's just like me, ADD up the wazoo. He's nuts. It just kind of adds fuel to the fire. But yeah, I don't know what it is because a lot of our job is probably, we go out, we shake a few hands, kiss a few babies.
Sure.
Most of it's in the office doing paperwork, crunching papers. But yeah, I come home freaking exhausted every day. Sometimes I have an afternoon coffee to pick me up. That helps sometimes. I did
I've
today.
been I've
I
been getting
feel a
into
bit
that.
wired right now. Yeah, it's nice, but it keeps you up till like 2 in the morning sometimes.
Yep. One little tidbit before we move on to the next segment. So randomly, I have a coworker who not only plays golf once a week with John Peltier, the John Peltier, he also, and wait for it, he also went to high school with Mick. And this guy is not a Minifan, and he just so happens to be like he has no idea, but he's just like in the middle of this Minifan tornado, and he has no idea.
He's got that Minifan in his blood. Has he heard, like, does he know either? Well, he knows John obviously plays all the time, so he has to know about the show. Well, no, John kind of went dark after he bailed on that wedding. So maybe he doesn't
Well,
talk about it too much
well,
anymore.
he knows like enough about the show now, and
No
now that
offense,
like
John.
I've been on it, he's watched like those episodes and stuff like that. But just complete happenstance that he and it's virtual golf too. And the funny thing is, John's fucking nasty apparently at virtual golf to the point where he was getting pissed off at my coworker because he was like dragging the team down.
Wow, look at Pelletier
I
throwing
know.
darts out there. He's probably like a 24-foot gimme, so every time he hits a green, that wasn't nice. John, I'm happy for you. I hope you keep playing well. His son, no,
uh,
his son works at Top Golf. He said that once, so he's probably
that's
getting his reps in.
That's right. That is right. I think for somehow that did get brought up at some point. Do you have like what's up with you've been on now the show a few times. Obviously, your face is blown up on Twitter and stuff like that. Like, what is the level of understanding
Blown up.
coworkers might have about you? Like, do they understand what's going on? Like, do you have anyone at work that's like, Pat, what's going on online?
I've had a couple of people find it just. I think the word's parenthetically. I always try to sprinkle in a big word. It never really hits. I don't know if
It's
parenthetically is
you.
a word.
It's usually that one, Pat. I've heard you
Do
say
I say that a
like,
lot?
yeah.
I hope I'm using it right. Yeah, I've had a few people watch and be like, "What the fuck is going on?" But I got in front of my boss, and it was like, "Listen, every once in a while I take a little bit of time, and if I can with work, I go do this when they ask me to." I was like, if anybody ever calls you and says they want to talk about my performance, from the show or anything like that, just hang up or appease them and clap back at them. But I tell most people, just for that rare chance that somebody wants to be a lunatic.
Yeah, smart.
But your work definitely knows because you've used them in a video before, right?
Yeah, I've told a few people. Luckily, it's a pretty young company. Like even my boss, he's younger than me. I'm 34. He's in his like late 20s. So I've told all them like they follow Barstool. They know it. They don't listen to Kirk, but they know what it is. So they've all sort of played along. Like obviously they don't want me to say anything like stupid or like completely out there. But yeah, everyone seems to be pretty cool with it. I did one of the videos though. Like I could tell one of the guys didn't want to do it. And I was just like, he's like, yeah, maybe tomorrow. And then at the end of the day, I literally just gave my phone to him. I was like, all right, here's the script. We're doing this right now.
Get in line. We got to get this done.
Yeah, he does like,
you don't look a day over 33.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. What do we say? People didn't expect this. We've got an ad, Pat, and I think we should jump over to the ad before we go on to our next segment. What do you think?
I think that's a good idea. We appreciate our partners. Roll it.
I see people walking around like regular people.
How often do you see them?
All the time. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere! They're everywhere!
I'm your host, Andy Morrison.
Hey, guys, how are we going to transport all this cargo? Oh, wait, we have Nick's pants. We're saved. Get the freaking pants off.
All right, we're back. I wanted to talk a little bit just because we're both we're some young, very, very handsome dilfs. So I thought it might make sense to talk a little bit about that, kid life, married life. I was telling you the other day, my wife once a month does something called bunko with her friends. Have you ever heard of bunko? Do you know what that is?
First off, I did not know where you were going there, and I thought you were going to get in a lot of trouble, but I've never heard of bunko.
It's like it's like some sort of game they do with like dice. So there might be cards involved. I don't know. It's basically an excuse for all of them to like hang out at one of the houses and drink wine all day and talk shit about us, I'm sure. But what that means is I have both kids for an entire Saturday, and it's an absolute fucking disaster. I try to survive, dude. I don't know. I'll take him to a coffee shop. I've taken him to breweries and put down like 3 beers just trying to survive.
You should be in that place. I told you the biomes, but I am very similar boat. It sounds like that's like the Housewives version of Craps, what they're playing over there.
Sure,
So
yeah.
keep an eye on that. Hopefully, it doesn't get a gambling problem. Shut up, David. Hope he's doing well. But I am in the same boat. I only have the one, but I got one in the oven because I got slow hips. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm going to be at that point, and that's where reality is really going to set in because you can't keep up with 2. Imagine 3. You're going for 3, maybe, sort of. You said that, but
yeah, I have no say in the matter.
I'm getting this motherfucker snipped August 29th.
Careful, you've got it. Do you actually have
I haven't scheduled it yet, but I'm thinking of pulling the trigger. Michael Scott, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah, it's probably a smart move.
Well, question for you is you have two sons, right?
Yes, I do.
Potty training yet?
We're trying, man. So my oldest is gonna turn 3 in April, and he's fighting it. Like, he'll do it at my mom's house a little bit, and by do it, I mean he'll sit down on it, but it's a fucking battle. And he was a binky kid too, so we're trying to, like, get him off the binky and do potty training, and he's good in every other aspect, but this has been a little bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, we're starting it now. We know it's early, but we try to want to get them accustomed to it. I will send you something though. They have these little stickers that when they pee on them, they turn into dinosaurs in the toilet. So it gets them pretty fired up to see the dinosaurs.
We're in
But
a big dinosaur stage right now, so
Are
I'll
you?
take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you the link right after this. We're in that stage too. Yesterday was one of our first official times peeing on the potty, and then he got up off the toilet and he took a shit right in the middle of the living room. Splat right in the middle of the living room, and then just walked away like nothing happened. So we're kind of going through it right now as well. So we're in it together. I'll send you those stickers. Life changer.
That's so funny because I was just about to ask you, like, can you give me like a moment that's perfect? Like, all right, this is a parent moment, and I think you really just nailed it because I was gonna say, I think it was this past weekend. I'm literally in the parking lot of a liquor store. My son is in the back. I have an SUV, so like I've got the back up, and I'm changing his shitty diaper like as he lays like in the car in the back of my car, and cars are just like going by. And then once you get the diaper on and you get them all changed and everything, like that's not even the end of it because then you gotta like you have to look for a dumpster or something. Like you can't drive home with a shitty diaper in your car. It smells fucking awful.
I've had this battle so many times, and I'll be honest with you. There was one time where I was at my weakest. I tossed that thing right out the window as I was going. I felt so bad about it. I figured it would decompose, but I don't think diapers do. I think the fecal matter will. But that's something nobody really talks about. That could be an invention we think of, like because you have probably like the diaper caddy at your house, right? Imagine
Sure.
one of those for the car.
It
Something
should
to
be.
think about.
It should
Something
be. I
to think
thought about
about.
it. I was like, I can't believe I'm gonna leave like just this poop diaper like outside this establishment. But I ended up finding a dumpster, thank God. One positive I will say with the kids, for some reason, when they don't finish their food, it tastes better for me. Like if when my kid gets up and he's still got like a bite of an Uncrustable and a chicken tender, like I'm literally waiting for that moment. Like I can't wait to fucking take what he doesn't eat. I don't know if you've gone through that experience.
Full transparency. I am deadly allergic to peanuts and all nuts. The Uncrustable portion of that story, no connection with me. But
That's such
yeah,
a drip lord thing.
he had chicken. I used to be allergic to grass. Well, I still am allergic to grass. It was eggs, milk, cheese, all nuts, peanuts, dogs, cats, pollen, and grass. Grass is the tough one, but I've become accustomed to it. I had it. Yeah, I did that with a
Are you
chicken.
in a bubble right now?
Now, growing up, I was a kid that sat at the peanut-free lunch table by myself.
Oof.
Golly, that's kind of the reason that you see the mustache and the long hair pictures. It kind of translated to that down the road.
Sure.
But yeah, I polished off a chicken nugget tonight that didn't get finished, and it's because half the battle is like, all right, well, just take one more bite,
Mhm.
and then
Every time.
when you finally lose the battle, you taking that last bite is almost like it's a little victory. It's like, all right, I didn't get what I wanted, but the plate is clear.
The plate's clear. Let me show you how it's done. I'm gonna chew this in your
Damn
face,
straight.
and I'm going to love it. Yeah, that makes a lot of
Loser.
sense.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Sorry.
Pat, something I thought, and I've been wanting to talk to you about this, that I thought was so funny when we were on the show was, it was after Kirk took my notes and he's going through the that little bit I had about Coleman not being gay, but maybe he's a virgin.
Yep.
And one of the things I said, I was like, yeah, you said you've been so dry, yet you got laid 2 months ago. And Coleman was like, yeah, 2 months is a long time. Dude, me and you looked at each other so
Brother.
fast.
Buckle up, because it gets worse. It gets worse. Just make sure
So
your
funny.
bathroom's got a strong lock and your shower's got firm pressure, and you'll be all set.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's young. He'll learn. He'll meet some guy someday, and they'll be doing it like twice a month, 2-3
Oh,
times.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, that was funny. I did remember that.
Like instantly, like we just immediately
guy.
looked at each other like, oh, all right.
Buddy, buckle up. You don't know the half of it.
Any other thoughts on just dad life in general before we move on to some KMS stuff?
To go back to your question, what was that defining moment for me when I was like, fuck, like I'm in the thrills of it right now? It's been like the last 3 or 4 nights. My wife usually puts him to bed because I think he likes her better. But once he learns how to play catch and shit, that's gone. But when she goes to work, I put him in bed, which is fine. We have cordial conversations, all that. But he refuses to go to bed unless we bring a bag of goldfish with us. It's been
That's
4
perfect.
nights. It's been like 4 nights in a row. And like he doesn't yell at me. He just kind of talks at me. So it's super, super demoralizing. And that's when I realized like, oh yeah, it's all over. This is the next 16 years.
So you're waking up with Cheetos all over your bed, and your son's waking up with goldfish all over his bed.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of true. I do love Cheetos. I had it last night too. I'm gonna have it tonight too.
There you go. You didn't use chopsticks, did you?
No, but we had them in the house. I found them today. I might give it a shot.
Yeah, it's worth a
It's a
shot.
good
I think.
reminder. All right, that down.
All right, so I mean, no one could have predicted, unless Kirk is an absolute well, he is a mastermind, we know that, but unless he planned this whole thing, I don't think anyone could have expected that this is what would be going on the KMS show. Like, I'm looking at my notes right now because I haven't edited them in a while. I'm literally talking about being excited for Big Steve. I was going to ask you if Big Steve and Coleman have ever had an interaction before, but instead we're going, I don't know if it's whatever it is, 40 hours, 48 hours that Coleman's been on this stream. So crazy stuff going on with the Kirk Minahan show.
There doesn't appear to necessarily be an end in sight for that young man either. I had nothing really going on last night. I pulled a favor with the lady upstairs. She let me run over to the studio because I wanted to see it firsthand. I'll tell you one thing. That kid is that kid. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, did he get it?
He got it.
Tome, Jim. Thome,
I don't know what to do.
Jim
No.
Thum, Jim Thame, Jim Tom, Jim.
I think he said it.
You said it, Coleman.
Wait, no,
You said it, Coleman.
Jim Thome, Jim Tome.
You got it. You got it.
Tome, Jim Tome. Jim Tome.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it, right?
That's it.
Jim Tome.
Yes. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it. You got it.
Justin missed.
Wow,
look
so
at
he
that.
did it. He
Change up the
absolutely did it.
notes.
I can't wait to get like the actual hour count. I want to see like how many names he said, because someone's out there tracking all this stuff.
Well, the show started yesterday at 9 a.m. If you're going on how long the show was, it's like 36 hours straight.
Okay. Yeah, and
But I think he started like 2 hours in, so it's like 34.
Yeah, I saw someone mention right around or before 11 a.m. on Monday they started ripping out names. So yeah.
Coleman had the best attitude of the whole entire thing. Coleman had the best attitude, but Justin was just fucking miserable. Like Justin was the one who was like, I can't control any of this. I'm gonna lose. I'm losing my marbles. Fucking
dude, I think Coleman enjoyed it. Like he seemed to like
he was happy.
The things he kept saying, he was like, they're giving him strategies, and he's like, it's too early for that. Too early for that. It's like, dude, we're on day 2. There's no more early. The early stuff is gone.
Even when the Denim King walked in yesterday, his buddy Otsella, like he was just happy to see him. I think he's happy to get out of the house. He's on a dry spell. Bunch of dudes in one room. It was a home run for him. But
He's getting pizza, Chipotle. Like, come on.
I'm happy for Colin. That's fantastic. Happy for Justin too, because he gets to get out of there. But
yeah,
I really didn't think. I didn't think if you're going by spelling. I mean, we're not even going to go there, but that's not spelled right. I thought when he did not understand, like when Kirk brought up the picture just before we got on, I thought I thought he'd be in there forever. Like once he didn't put 2 and 2 together the picture, I was like, yeah, he's done. Like he's gonna live here forever or just kill himself. Thank God he did.
Loved when Jim Tome's wife called in, and she was such a great sport too. But I was so annoyed he barely asked her any questions. I was like, dude, start firing off some questions here.
She gave him a great hint, and he's like, fuck, that made it worse. It's like, all right, show a little bit of respect here. The lady's taking time
right
per day.
She also said Jim at least 3 times.
Oh, Kirk asked a question. She's like, "Who, Jim?" And Coleman's like, "Maybe it's Larry." I don't know.
Oh, that's great. Wait, so tell
and I
me a
was
little bit more about your experience when you went up there. Like how far in advance did you tell your wife you were planning on going up? And then I think a lot of people want to know about the smell when you walked in too. So anything you could tell us.
I told her like an hour before. She was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" She's like, "Oh, you're calling in?" I was like, "No, no, no. Like I'm driving an hour and 15 minutes." She's like kind of looking at me funny and just rolled her eyes, and then I just jumped in the car and left. But this when I walked in, there was a guy, Jeff D. Lowe, was kind enough to buy the fellas Wendy's,
Right.
and I was walking in, and the Uber Eats driver was just sitting there, and like he was really nervous to see another person in that dark like studio
Yeah.
hallway. He like kind of like shied away from me, like I was gonna get him. And I remember saying something stupid. I was like, "Oh, you got food?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then I just kind of went. I walked my separate way, but there was no noticeable odor yet. I was still pretty early on. I think I
You
was
were.
probably like the 12-hour mark. But like once Tim and Mick started bringing in blankets, I'm sure those guys cooking in there under blankets. The odor was probably intensified a little bit, but no, it was I enjoyed it. There was some just that strategy, by the way. Was the
Oh, the names, the first name,
strategy of-
like using the
and I-
first names and last names together.
Imagine if I was like, Coleman, this is dumb, and he was like, all right, I won't do it anymore. Like Kirk would have driven in the studio and just punched me right in the nose. So I was like, I'm not risking anything at all. Anything
I
at
thought you
all.
did well. I thought you brought some good vibes. Like I think there's a little bit of like intimidation of like, all right, I'm gonna walk in, sit down in front of this camera, and then like, is it gonna be awkward for a minute, or like, is there anything for me to say? And I thought you played it pretty well, and Coleman was certainly happy to see you.
He said he was going to cry. So
Yeah.
no, but yeah, I wondered that too because Kirk's not there. It's just him and Justin. Like if they're both in shit moods because they can't figure this out, I'm just sitting there
Right.
as a dead duck.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was funny.
So it'll be interesting to see like what the rest of the week will look like. Like obviously they'll do some fallout from all of this, and then so tomorrow's Wednesday, so that'll probably be a big part of it. And then are we getting Whitney this week? Do I remember seeing that somewhere?
I think Whitney's Thursday. Mutt was supposed to be Mutt and Steve from Gloucester were supposed to be tomorrow, but Mutt's sick because Kirk said it right before we got on. Mutt's sick, so I don't think he's going to make it. And Kirk's voice didn't sound great either, so I hope he's not coming down with anything. But that would be kind of crazy if like Coleman just has to roll back in there at 9 o'clock. I hope they have like another challenge for him or something too. But I think it's tomorrow with Steve is the plan. No Mutt. I could be wrong, but I think that's what Kirk said. And then Whitney on Thursday, and I hope he settles the story that I told when you and I were in there.
Oh yeah, that would be really important for him to really explain what. I'm not saying I don't believe you, but I would love to hear his side of the story. I think that would be really important as well. Really quick, going back to Mutt, I thought about this today, and this is, but I love Mutt. Although I want to stop having to say things like that before I say something that might sound a little bit mean.
Yeah.
But like when you're sick and your wife, like I don't know if this happens to you, but they always say it's like the man cold or the man flu. They think you're like over exaggerating, and for some reason, when you're like sick, they're kind of just like not mad at you, but they're kind of like you're fine. That whole thing. If you're Mutt and you haven't worked in a while, I feel like my wife would be like, "Get the fuck out of get out from under that."
Take your doggy
blankie."
bag and go
Yeah.
rake some fucking leaves. I don't care how sick you are.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. I didn't think of that, but that's true.
One other thing, yeah, because we got Goatcella, Woatcella, Throatcella, Ocella himself that drove all the way from New York. And by the way, I love, and people said this in the chat, but I absolutely love that he drove all the way there just to get on the mic and be like, I am not gay. I am a straight man.
I believe fucking anything, and I got to get a lot better about that because it's going to get me in trouble. But like, I tuned into Megan the Minifans Montante's like, yeah, he's gay. So in my head, I was like, oh, great, the kid's gay, good for him. But
Right.
Like, nope, not gay. But yeah, he was a nice guy. I kind of wanted him and Coleman to not like flounder and fight a little bit, but he was a bloody mess too. His hand was all cut up. God knows what he got into. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, and I thought kind of a funny part about that was I didn't necessarily realize that he was like bleeding, but at one point he turns and he goes, Justin, can I please take my headset off and go wash my hands? Like Justin was like his teacher or his dad.
He's like, do I put it on the chair? I was like, I'll
Yeah.
hold it. And Justin's like, just put it on the fucking chair. I'm like, okay, apologize.
Oh, man.
I'll get you Wendy's if you want.
Oh, that is so funny.
One more thing, I noticed that after our appearance in studio, I don't know if you have noticed, I have lost a follower on Twitter. It came as news to me today. Um, the man that runs the rival network has unfollowed
Interesting.
me on Twitter, and he called me a snake yesterday when I was in studio. So I apologize for any hard feelings, but he tried to use us as a Trojan horse, which I
Right.
just won't let happen. You got a better chance of seeing God come down and fuck you in the ass than you do of me being a Trojan horse for his propaganda. So I just wanted to put that out there. Sorry, there's hard feelings. No dice. It's not how it works.
And if I may,
End
I
scene.
mean, you did what he asked you to do.
I did. I read it. I
You
read
read
it.
it?
I'm a tone guy. I'm very monotone. So
Right.
that's just
I thought that
life.
was just your Australian accent. That's all I thought that was. So
Oh, I can't do that.
yeah.
Why,
um,
mate?
I thought it was very curious that he reached out and asked us to promote Mike and the Minifans and Jeopardy, and he just so happened to leave off the rundown, and you were on the rundown. Why would you?
What
You
a
know, you
show.
can't.
What honestly, just top-notch fellas over there. They run a
good
good
program.
product, just try to keep their nose out of things and just try to admire the show and talk about it. So yeah, I was honored to be on that show, and I'll be honest with you, that was a bit of a hair across my ass. I had to second guess that phrase too. Second guess that. I don't know. I think that's right. Yeah, I put a
Oh,
bit of
yeah,
a
yeah,
hair.
that works. That works.
Okay, cool. Don't edit that out, anybody.
Yeah, so I don't have too much else. I do know that you and I on the side talked about playing a little golf. I mean, we could potentially get some content going there. Pat teaches John how to start golfing again. I haven't golfed in maybe 3 years really, so I'd love to get out there with you. Bring a camera out there, see what happens.
I used to charge 125 an hour to do it, so I'll do it. Like you'll get definitely in the friends and family $1.15 range too. So it'll be a good deal for everybody.
Man, between paying you to golf and paying Mayo for my growth mindset, I'm gonna be with my kids going to daycare. I don't know what I'll do. I'm gonna have to figure out
With the
something.
cost of those, you're gonna be bankrupt pretty soon. Those are expensive, but I'll be doing one of those soon.
Any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, I think this went well. I don't think there was a whole lot of energy, which I think was the ultimate goal.
Sure.
No, I think it went well. We'll see how